Okay. Hi, my name is Francesca Danielle Pueyo, and I'll be presenting my midterms in BSIT elective. Okay. I'll be starting with problem number one. Problem number one is making a quiz score, which could be computed by the average quiz scores. So, as you can see here, there is a class student string name and quiz score. So the string name is equivalent. This is the start of the student class, which I declared, two fields. So there's the name, which stores the student's name, and there is a quiz score, which is an array that scores three quiz scores. Okay, so the student string here, this is the constructor of the student class. It receives the student name and the array of quiz scores. Then it assigns them to the class field. Here, as you can see, is where the double compute average. This method computes the average quiz score. I create a variable app and use a for loop to add all quiz score values. Then I divided by 3 and returned the result. And here, the display info part is where this method prints all the students' information. It shows the name, each quiz score using a loop, and of course, the average of the three computed quiz scores. Here in the public class part of my code is where in the main class, I started by creating a scanner. Then I asked the user to enter the student's name and store it in NM. This is the NM and this is the enter name where I've asked. It will be displayed later once I've tried run the code. And then it also asks to enter three quiz scores. Okay, and now since with entering three quiz scores, I created an integer array called ARR to store the three quizzes. Then I used the scanner again to get each score from the user. Okay, so that's basically my discussion for the explaining about my code. Now let's try run it. Okay, like what I've input earlier, like what I shown you, what I've inputted. It's asking me now to enter my name. I'll add my name. Enter. And three quiz scores. So it could be 50, 45, and 30. So since my quiz score is 50, 45, and 30, the average will be 41.66666. And yeah, that's it. That is my explanation or presentation of my problem one in our midterms BSIT elective. I will now be presenting the problem two of my midterms in BSIT elective. Okay, so let's start with here. the class declaration. Well, one of the two fields I have here is item name and weekly sales. This is start of my item class. And like I said, I have declared two private fields. Item name is for the product name, while weekly sales is a double array for the 4 weekly sales value. I also made them private to have a better encapsulation. Okay, so here, this part is the constructor. It takes the product name and the sales array, then assigns them to the class fields using this. There. Using this. While the computing for the total sales of the weekly sales is this part of the code. So you can see here, this method calculates the total amounts of monthly sales. I created a total variable and used a loop to add all 4 weekly sales values. As finally the totals return. Okay? So the next part will be method to display all information. Showing details, and this part of the method prints the complete sales report. It displays the item's name, then each week's sales using a loop. At the end, it presents the total sales by calling compute total. Here, this part calls the total sales. Okay? Now, in the main class, I started by creating a scanner. Here. And then I asked the user to input the name of the item and stored it in name. This is the question or what I've asked for the user. While this is the name. This is the name that the user's name will be inputted into. So after that, I created a double array named sales data to store 4 weekly sales amount, which is this part. So sales data, using a loop, I asked the user to enter the sales for each month of 4 weeks. Here. And after that, I also created an item object named it, passing in the item name and the sales array. Here. Finally, I called the show details method to display the full monthly sales summary. Then I closed the scanner to clean up the input stream. Then explain to you on showing you the whole code. Let's try run it. There. First thing it asks me is to input the item name. Let's try for a bag. So I will enter the sales for a week. It could be 400 and 500, then 700. There. It then shows the monthly sales report. Item bag, sales breakdown from week 1 for 100, 2, 3, 4, and the total sales for the month of the bag, which is 2,500. Okay, so that's all for problem 2. I will now be presenting the problem 3 in my midterms in BSIT elective. Now, this problem is about determining which is the fastest time the athlete had. Okay? So, let's start with this. This is the athlete class. The class. It has 2 fields, as you can see here. These 2 fields, especially the athlete name, have to store the athlete's name and the times, a double array holding 5 event times. Now let's move on here. This is the constructor. It assigns the name and the array of types to the class fields. To the class fields. Well, this method finds the fastest time, best time. Here, it starts with the first time as the best, then uses a while loop here to check each remaining time and updates the best value if a faster time is found. Now, let's look at here. This method prints the athlete's name, all 5 events using a loop, and finally fastest time by calling best time, which is this one. Now looking at this, this is the main class. This is the main class, which is obviously named after the class. And I use the scanner to ask for the athlete's name and stored it in name. Okay, so here, this part, I created a double array T. Here, you can see this double array. And it's to store the 5 event times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It started with 0, but it's still counted as 5. Then I asked the user to input each time 1 by 1 and place them into the array. Here, the question. Enter event 1 to 5 times. Place them into your array. Okay? Now, here, I created an athlete named AA, passing the name and the array of times. While here in display and close, finally is when I called display input to show all the event times and fastest time, then close the scanner. Now, since I've explained this, of course, I'll be showing you if it works. It will. Here, now, I'm going to enter the athlete's name. Let's try my name. Enter the first event time, which I should be adding for about 30 seconds. 1 minute. another 1 minute and 45 seconds. Oh, it's here. You can see it showed my name, which is the athlete name, the times where there is about time 1 to 5 times, which is 30, 60, 60, 45, and 60, and it counted the fastest as 30 seconds. So, yeah, that's basically it for the problem 3. Then I'll be showing you the 4th problem. I will now be presenting the problem 4 of my midterms in BSIT elective. So now, as you can see here, this is the class declaration. Oh, here, this part. And since there is a private here, hold, and I made it private. It has name and stars. So the name is for the book title, while the stars is the rate for that book title. Now let's look at here. This is the constructor. It receives the book title and array of ratings, then assigns them to class fields. And this part is the method that calculates the average rating. It uses an enhanced for loop to sum all the ratings, divides the total by the number of ratings, and returns to the average. While this method prints the complete book review. Oh, my bad. This method prints the complete book review summary. It shows the title, displays each user's rating using a loop, and prints the average rating by calling out average. Now, the main class. In the main class, I use this scanner to ask for the title of the book and stored it in a variable. So now here at the rating part, oh wait. Here, rating. I created a 4-element integer array named rating set. Here, you can see this. Then I used a loop to ask the user for 4 ratings and stored each one in the array. Alright, array. Now, book novel. Here, this part. Here, created a book object called novel, passing in the title and rating array. And to display, I call print summary to display all the ratings and the average. Then I close the scanner. So, of course, I'll be showing you how this book has the average rating for it. And now, the title of the book, The Gingerbread Man. And it should all start at 3, 4, 5. So, the, shows the book review summary of the title, The Gingerbread Man. Given ratings of 1 to 4 users with 3, 4, 5, 3 stars, with the overall average of 3.75 stars. Now that's my discussion and showing you my problem 3 of the midterms. I'll be discussing problem 4. I'll be discussing the fifth problem after this. I'll be now showing you the last problem, which is the fifth problem in my midterms for BSIT elective. Here, like usual, the class declaration. And this is the store class. It has 2 private fields, this and this. So the first field, which is the name, is for the store's name, and the monthly earnings is for a double array storing the income for 6 months. 6 months. Now here, the constructor, or the one that receives the store name and earnings array and assigns them to the class fields. And this part, as you can see here with all the operations, is where the method to compute the total income from the store. This method calculates the total income for all in 6 months. It also uses a while loop to add to each month's earning for the total, and then returns to the final value return. Here. Okay, so this method shows to print the complete income report. Here, income reports for 6 months, store, monthly breakdown, and month. And it shows the store's name, each month's income, using a while loop, and the total earnings calling compute total. Now, in the main class, here, I use, again, a scanner to ask for the store name and stored it in store input. Here, see there. I created a double array, 6 months, to store 6 months of income. A for loop asks the user to enter each month's earnings and store it in the array. Now, in here I created a store object named F, passing the store name and income array. Finally, I called the show report method to display the 6-month income report and then close the scanner. So, after discussing you about my code for computing the average of a store's income, I will now try run it to show you how it works and if it works. Okay. Now, store name should be Seth Store. Income for first month, 3,000. Income for 5 months, 5,666, 779, oh, 6, 799, up, and 2,000. 5, 2, 4. There. I've inputted the income for about 6 months, entered one each, and now it displays the income report for 6 months. The store name, monthly breakdown for 1 to 6 months, and the total earnings. So, yeah, that's it for my midterms in elective. And enjoy.